On a Philadelphia talk radio show, Trump Jr. blamed a pro-Clinton media that he likened to an execution squad.
They've let her slide on every, indiscrepancy, on every lie, on every DNC game trying to get Bernie Sanders out of the thing. I mean, if Republicans were doing that, they'd be warming up the gas chamber right now.
And we're going to bring you those remarks from Hillary Clinton live right now, taking reporters' questions. Let's listen.
My presidency, we're offering ideas, not insults, plans that will make a real difference in people's lives, not prejudice and paranoia. And as you know, my opponent is running a very different kind of campaign. His latest target is a pastor in Flint, Michigan, who respectfully asked him not to use her pulpit for political attacks. He called her a nervous mess. That's not only insulting, it's dead wrong. Reverend Faith Green Timmons is not a nervous mess. She's a rock for her community in trying times. She deserves better than that. And Flint deserves better. In fact, so does America. So I'm going to keep working as hard as I can to lift up our country, not tear it apart. I honestly believe there is so much more that unites us than divides us. And I believe with all my heart the American dream is big enough for everyone to share in its promise. So I'm determined to be a president for Democrats, Republicans, and independents, for all Americans, to really roll up our sleeves, solve our problems, and make positive differences in people's lives. So with that, I'd be happy to answer your questions. Hey, Celia.
When you were home reflecting over these last 3 days, I wonder if you did any soul searching about these new poll numbers that show this race tightening, especially in some swing states. Is there anything you should be doing differently right now in your campaign?
Celia, I've always said that this was going to be a tight race. I've said it from the very beginning. Whether I was up, down, it didn't matter. I think those are the kinds of presidential elections that we have in America at this point in our history. I'm very proud of the campaign that we have put together. I feel like we are in a strong position going into these last weeks. What matters is who registers to vote and who is motivated and mobilized to turn out to vote. And I'm going to keep doing everything I can to deliver my message about what's at stake in this election. And my campaign is going to continue to work hard every day to turn out every voter we possibly can. And that's our goal and that's our strategy.
The agreement that John Kerry and Sergei Lavrov negotiated with the Syrian violence is about coming to goals. And of course, not only about today, already indicated that the Syrian assistance is having trouble teaching this week. I was wondering if you think the agreement can hold, and if not, what should the next step be in the United States be?
This has been such a terrible conflict, and the humanitarian cost is incalculable. I really applaud Secretary Kerry's persistent efforts to try to reach some kind of an agreement with the Russians in order to create a period of cessation of hostilities, in order to get humanitarian assistance into Aleppo and other places within Syria. I think whether or not this works is really up to the Russians. It is up to whether or not Vladimir Putin decides that it's time to do what the Russians can do to bring this conflict into a period where there can be the beginning of political discussions, a hoped-for protective zone for people who are under relentless assault from the air, and a commitment to going after the terrorist groups that pose a threat to everyone. So I'm going to watch this closely, but at the end of it, it's going to be determined by whether or not the Russians decide it is in their interests to pursue this agreement.
That your running mate Tim Kaine may not have been aware of your pneumonia on Friday. I'm wondering when you informed him, and if you didn't inform him on Friday, what does that say about what your relationship would be like with him in the White House? How in the know would you be on instant developments in your administration?
You know, my senior staff knew, and information was provided to a number of people. And look, this was an ailment that many people just power through, and that's what I thought I would do as well. I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to, quit campaigning. I certainly didn't want to miss the 9/11 memorial. As a senator at that time, I consider it a sacred moment, and I was determined to get there. It didn't work out, so I got the antibiotics up and going, got the rest that I needed, and we're going on from there.
If I may follow, in terms of campaign, expand on how often you talk, you see the relationship, what would be a real partner. You've seen very good partnerships in White House, you've seen not so good partnerships in White House. So kind of going over the end, how do you feel that your important objectives, those of our today, were in any way jeopardized by the fact that you didn't explain?
No, look, I communicated with Tim. I talked to him again last night. He has been a great partner, and he's going to be a great vice president. We communicated. We've communicated, but I am, not going to go into our personal conversations, and I feel very comfortable and confident about our relationship, and I really look forward to working with him closely. My campaign has said that they could have been faster, and I agree with that. I certainly expect them to be as focused and quick as possible. But I have to say, from my perspective, I thought I was going to be fine, and I thought that there wasn't really any reason to make a big fuss about it. I should have taken time off earlier. I didn't. Now I have, and I'm back on the campaign trail.
Meetings with leaders from other countries, of course, neither they nor their citizens can vote in the United States. So why are you making that sort of calculated choice to take time off of the campaign trail? What do you think it can get you, and what's the contrast you're hoping to show with Donald Trump?
Well, I think it's important to be constantly reaching out, listening to, learning from leaders, and I was pleased to be able to find the time to meet with several of them, which I intend to do, to hear firsthand their perspective about what they see happening in the world today, to answer their questions from what I think is happening, whether it's in Syria or anywhere else. There's a lot going on in the world, and I have a long standing set of relationships that go back not only to Secretary of State and Senator, but back to First Lady. And I think it's important to tend to those relationships. And I won't be able to have as many meetings because of the press of the campaign as I have had in prior years. But I'm looking forward to the ones that we are scheduling. Thank you all very much.
Hillary Clinton taking a few questions from reporters in Greensboro, North Carolina. Let's go to CNN Chief Washington correspondent Jeff Zeleny, who is traveling with the Clinton campaign in Greensboro, North Carolina. Jeff, a few questions. I don't know. Do we call that a full press conference? I probably wouldn't, but I'm a tough grader.
I'm a tough grader as well, but I think for this week, since we've not seen her at all really since Sunday, Jake, I think, you have to say it's probably as good as we're going to get. Look, she did not acknowledge any specific shortcomings about, how she informed the American public here and if she would do anything different. She did say that her staff could have been faster. I didn't hear her say anything that she could have done differently. But clearly, Jake, she's trying to turn a corner here, trying to move on beyond this pneumonia diagnosis, which really has rocked her campaign and her campaign staff. And, she also acknowledged that, yes, she knew this was going to be a close race, but did not really acknowledge what her staff in Brooklyn knows at her campaign headquarters, that this is a very close race. Democrats across the country very nervous about this, about the tightening poll numbers here. She said she's going to keep on keeping on. But I also noticed, Jake, she did not go after Donald Trump on something her staff is doing, transparency on his medical records or taxes as well here. But going forward in the coming days, you can be sure she will, as she prepares for really the biggest event of this campaign in 11 days, that first debate in New York. Jake.
All right, Jeff, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Let's bring back our political panel. David Gergen, let me start with you. Asked about tightening poll numbers, including our own CNN ORC poll showing Trump edging Clinton in Florida and Ohio, two key battleground states. Clinton insisted her campaign always knew this was going to be a close race. Do you believe that?
No. I think that they've always assumed that they win by several points. I think they felt that Donald Trump would be nipping at their heels. I don't think anybody expected it to be this close, especially after her high numbers the other day. What also struck me, Jake, about her appearance was how subdued she was with the press. One had the sense she didn't really want to be there, but you also had the sense, I did at least, that she's still recovering. She didn't bring that zest to today that she has, but she did aim a very well targeted dart against Trump over that black woman pastor in Flint, and I think elevated that story so it will get more attention now in the national press in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, interesting. Clinton also said that her senior staff knew about her pneumonia diagnosis. She made the decision to go to the 9/11 memorial because she didn't want to stop. She also admitted she could have taken some time off earlier. A lot of criticism about how she and her team handled the transparency issue about her diagnosis on Friday, and then more. But really, this story has overwhelmed something that I think the Trump campaign is more interested in talking about, and that is her comment about half of his supporters, although she's since retracted that word, half, but many of her reporters being in a quote-unquote basket of deplorables.
Right. And so Hillary Clinton and her allies have tried to sort of take ownership of that and take advantage of that as much as possible as an avenue to talk about some of Donald Trump's more offensive remarks, some of his supporters who are part of this alt-right movement. But it has also at the same time given Donald Trump a major opportunity to energize his supporters. Now, you see at his rallies, his supporters showing up in deplorables t-shirts, signs, identifying themselves very enthusiastically as deplorables. It's sort of their signature now. So it's something that has the opportunity to motivate both sides to an extent. But you're right, this has completely overshadowed it. Not that this is, a blessing by any means for Hillary Clinton's campaign, because it's given us more questions about her transparency, and that's never good for her.
All right, Josh Green, Rebecca Berg, David Gergen, thanks one and all. Really appreciate it. Coming up.